Hey guys, it's Ian Benjamin, Digital Hub, and today my guest on Digital Hub is Andrew Daley. Andrew Daley is a senior change management professional. Andrew grew up in Hackney and graduated in super quick time with a first in computer networks from the Middlesex University. High achieving change manager, ex-Accenture, close to 15 years experience. Andrew resides in Essex, he's married with a young family, but he's also a property investor, and he absolutely loves what he does and is an inspiration to all young individuals. He made the decision a few years ago to kind of get the life balance right, which I totally admire and respect, and he's living that life. And in addition, I'm very jealous of his super disciplined approach to life, making himself a better person for him and for now and for his family and health, and from a habit perspective as well. So we'll kind of touch on that as well. But Andrew's worked for some prestigious brands, as a lot of my guests have, and companies and brands, held senior roles, working his way up. And to his current role, he's working with Get Living, a rental and property management platform that's heavily funded, private equity funded organisation. Previous to that was RBS, MSD, Merck, and Dom in the life sciences sector. But also what I like about Andrew, which you'll find interesting as well, is well-travelled, well-versed in travel globally. Spent a lot of time in the US, India, and different parts of Europe, honing the change management skills. But yeah, so welcome, Andrew. Welcome to Digital Hub.
Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to today.
You know, good. I'm looking forward to it too, man. It's great. Really good. But what I want to do, just to kind of set the tone a bit more, is to give our guests, give our viewers and listeners a bit of an idea. So there's a guy by the name of Alan Woods. Alan is a senior change manager, and he led the digital transformation program for RBS for 5 years. So he knows, he works with Andrew, and so he knows him very well. I just got a few words here for what he had to say about you. So he's done a lot of recent work with Andrew for circa 18 months on agile transformation programs, standing up single integrated business and technology structure in the first of front to back domain within the RBS organization. Andrew is excellent transformation lead, providing the right mix of specialist knowledge, leadership, and pragmatism to successfully guide the team through a complex, challenging, and transformation journey. Professional approach, clear thinking, communication style enabled him to build trust, gain the respect of others, and develop excellent working relationships with all key stakeholders. As a leader, Andrew provides support, direction, and more importantly, creates a platform for those around him to succeed. That's amazing. A lot of individuals, you know, don't do that. It's all about them. So, and then he adds, on a personal level, Andrew, more than anyone I've worked with in 25 years, makes himself available to coach, encourage, listen, and offer insights to others. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, is that good to hear? I mean, bang, you know, that's a pretty good.
Yeah, lovely. Nice words, Alan. Thank you.
Superb. That's kind of buy him a couple of beers when you see him next time, definitely, you know. So Andrew, obviously welcome, man. It's great to have you on here. Obviously, you've spoken a few times, and obviously wanted to kind of get you on Digital Hubs. Brilliant. And I think, you know, humble beginnings, you've achieved a lot in a relatively short space of time. You're still a relatively young man. And so how did it all start? How did it all kind of kick off for you in terms of your career, or where did that mix of technical and commercial skills and DNA, where did that sort of come from?
Yeah, I would say I've got an interesting mix of my parents. I would say so. My dad's a plumber, very hands-on, physical type person. I was always interested in the type of stuff that he did,
Okay.
kind of being on the tools and being physical with what he did.
So did you go out with him when you were younger? Did you actually go out on?
Yeah. Often, you know, was interested in the tools in his van, and you know, just technically seeing him around the house fixing things. So, you know, I quite like the problem-solving aspect. But that's coupled with the fact that my mum worked in banking for about 30 years. So the two things together, the financial planning, the kind of strategic thinking and management of people from my mum's side, and then from my dad's side, focused on problem-solving and being hands-on. I think the two things coupled together made me want to focus on something a bit hands-on, but something that didn't require me to wear an overall. So
exactly.
Yeah, from there I just focused on computer networks. I was always interested in IT. Really interested me from a young age. One teacher actually that I would say cultivated my direction in IT. He's still at a school called my previous secondary school, Stone Newington, in Hackney.
Right.
He was at the time an IT teacher, head of IT, looking after the IT program, but also deputy head teacher. His name's Alan McCaskill. I would say definitely out of any teacher, that was one of the main teachers that helped me direct my career into IT. So
Right.
I was fortunate enough to return after all was said and done. I graduated, and it was a lovely feeling, reconnecting and
Right.
spending some time and paying back what some teachers have given to me.
Fantastic.
So,
That's really good. Fantastic. So he kind of like ignited that flame in you to kind of like, it made it interesting for you in terms of like the IT and technical stuff.
absolutely, and more importantly, he made me believe that things were possible. I haven't even spoken to him about this. I haven't spoken to him for quite a few years, but that's definitely someone that I can absolutely say to myself when things were hard and school was difficult, and there's a lot of negative things around you. When you have that one person to direct your path,
Yeah.
really
So
saw something in me and helped me.
right, gotcha. So he kind of like didn't, or made it possible, made you see that the vision that it's possible for you to achieve what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I think when it comes to being a fairly boisterous 16-year-old in Hackney, in a boys' class as well, in a mixed school, it's quite
Right.
difficult to focus yourself and not be distracted. I was quite a big kid as well, so a lot of people used to fight a lot with the other classmates.
Well, I can imagine in Hackney, you got to own the turf, right? You got to kind of stand your ground and stick up for yourself, I'd imagine, right?
Absolutely, and there's always that pressure, when you're in a boisterous environment with other kind of like-minded people. It's more about how well you can fight and how much weights you can pump versus.
Yeah. So was that easy for you to kind of like say, look, do you know what? I'm not going to get involved in that, and I want to kind of focus on my education. I don't want to get involved in all what's going on outside the school gate. I want to kind of knuckle down and do that. Was it difficult, or did you kind of find it quite easy to kind of like separate that off?
Don't get me wrong, it was hard. As you say, you have to be able to carry yourself. I was very, happy to carry myself. I didn't have any problems in that category, but it was more about the things that I was seeing outside of the school gate. So, a lot of my friends got into trouble with the police, and we've all had their challenges, myself included, when it comes to being able to handle yourself in
Confrontations and
confrontation and society more generally. But I think what I started to realize is the fact that a lot of those things are very short term. It's very easy to, do something negative or be in trouble with the police, or, go down the wrong path. And, you may have some short term wins, but in the long term, you fail,
Yeah.
It was very
That's brilliant.
at the age.
That's good that you kind of realised that early on, and then so you knew what you wanted and what you were able to achieve, and then you kind of knuckled down, got yourself through college, and then from memory you kind of got through university super quick. Is that right? From memory?
Yeah. The thing is, my some older brother went to university a couple of years before me. He spent a couple of years there. Didn't fully work out for him. He went down a different path. He's a musician. He's since converted his path into kind of web design, doing really well. Really proud of the things that he's doing. But I kind of saw that model and thought to myself, actually, if I'm going to university, I'm going to university to make sure that I absolutely knuckle down and smash it. I'm not going there to mess around and to party all night long and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of that, but I focused on that in my earlier years. So by the time I entered university, and I'm sure most of my peers can contest, I went in there with a very focused mindset that I'm going to get in there, I'm just going to knock it out of the park. So yeah, I think looking at my transcript, every single module from year 1 to year 3 was a first, apart from one module. So
right, that's awesome. Well done, amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Just made sure I was just focused on it.
Yeah, good, superb. And then so from university, that led to the gig in Apple, or were you working in Apple when you were at uni, or was it after uni? Or
yeah, no, it was whilst I was at uni. So as you mentioned, because I focused so much in the earlier years of university, I was pretty much full time in my third year of uni at Apple.
Right.
The role was in the Apple retail environment, so I was mainly serving customers, just trying to understand the Apple ecosystem. Coming from a Windows background, I didn't really know too much about Apple at the time. And
Yeah.
I was actually quite nervous at the time. I was thinking, why do they want me to work for Apple? But no, I don't even own an Apple device.
How did it come about then? How did you get the gig?
Um, yeah, so interestingly again, my brother worked for Apple for a couple of years before me, and he went through the interview process, and he did really well. He joined them, and just enjoyed the whole process. And he said to me, "There's a couple of openings coming up, a few new stores opening. Have a look, check it out." And I said, "Okay, I may as well just give it a go." Ping my CV over, and then I just entered into the process, and it was quite a difficult. Not it was a difficult process; it was a rigorous process in terms of the amount of candidates, and then
Yeah, I can imagine.
down. But by the time I got through to the end of it, I kind of realised that I could definitely do the job. It was transferable skills, so it's using all of my technical knowledge, but just applying it to a different ecosystem, which is the whole Apple way of working and life. So yeah, it was great. I worked there for a couple of years. I started in, as I said, the retail environment. I moved into a role that was focused more on kind of small businesses and educational institutions. So I was more of the network specialist. So we would sell big deals. Well, big deals in my mind at the time. It may have been like 10 grand worth of equipment, which is nothing in the big picture now. I was selling those kind of volumes and higher up to about 50k, and then we would go in
and you do the installations as well, right?
Yeah, so this helping configure the networks and working out how things would connect into one another, just to achieve the best results. Small little businesses, educational institutions, just giving them a view of how they could set up their network as well.
Right. That's interesting.
I was the point man on networks for a while, which was good.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of interesting because typically speaking, that's like a hybrid role where you're doing the sales up front, installation, and even like nowadays like customer success type role where you can, which is rare. You don't normally get that where you're doing the sales and also the technical bit as well. Which is interesting.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the role just kind of evolved over time. I guess that's the best way to call it. So we noticed that within that environment, there was a lot more demand coming in for that type of solution.
Right.
And you can just capitalize on the skill set that you have. So at the time I was studying a degree in networks, computer networks, and I dedicated my time and my energy into understanding Apple and all the peripherals and devices.
Right.
Do things together, and I kind of created a bit of a niche.
Made it your own. Yeah, superb, wonderful. And then from there, you're obviously still living in Hackney and so forth with your folks, and you realise that I've got my degree now. I want to kind of progress, and then Sky. You start working with Sky, making that commute across London. But what an amazing time! Sky is still an amazing company now. What they do now, they just keep bringing out new services, new layers, with the boxes. And I've got Sky at home and just love the service. And what were you doing there with Sky?
So I had to make a decision in terms of being at Apple versus joining an established graduate program. So
graduate program.
Yeah, so I finished off my degree. Well, I was partway through my third year. In the January or February, I started the application process. Said to myself, you know what, I want to be on an established program with a cohort of individuals that I can connect with. And I was looking for different companies, and I've always had Sky TV and been around people that have had it, so I kind of understood generally what it was about. But it was only until I started going through the interview process that I realised how big they were, and I realised that it was a company that I really wanted to work for. So I went through quite a rigorous interview process over a number of days, and landed a role. Really, I was one of 8 people from memory, and I think there were over 1,000 applications. So really proud to join.
Fantastic. Smashed it. And you were there for a couple of years. What was the role? What was kind of the main crux of what you were doing there, or did it kind of change?
Yeah, good question. It definitely changed. It was mainly a rotationary program. It was designed to take you through the the technical software delivery lifecycle. So from, if you think about the first stage from kind of requirements gathering to actually building the software or the tool, to testing it, to delivering it out to the customer. So that may mean, you know, just post implementation testing, user acceptance testing, etc. And then a bit of project management and procurement to understand the whole business aspect. So really, I can describe that as my my training wheels, and then
Right,
from
okay.
to kick the training wheels off. So it grounded me, it gave me the fundamentals and, you know, the confidence to be able to talk in depth around, you know, certain roles that a lot of other people perhaps may not have performed before. So yeah, it was
Gotcha.
really good to get that breadth of experience all the way through.
Different areas of the business. I mean, is that a role where you worked within the disaster recovery side of the business as well? Do you kind of get...
That actually came after. So
I did it.
So what normally happens is you finish the 2-year rotationary period, and then you effectively have to, I guess, go out to tender. So you have to go out to different
Right.
what can you offer me? And I had a couple of different opportunities across the business, but again, and I reckon this is a theme that's persisted through my career so far, I found the niche, which was technology disaster recovery, business continuity,
Right.
because
Nice.
there wasn't that capability in the organization before. So I thought to myself, okay, let me knuckle down, let me do the relevant studying, and let me attend the industry events and immerse myself really in what's required to be a professional in that space, given
Right.
that nobody else had done it.
So was that a new division in, like the disaster, was it like a new division within Sky then?
Yeah, it was loosely part of a more central function
Right, okay.
called Technology Central Services.
But you
But
like the look of it?
it wasn't established. So I thought I'll have a piece of that, and I just was given the opportunity, and I was able to kind of grow what it was about, and, you know, I guess put my mark down and make it happen.
Brilliant.
Good.
Superb. Fantastic. Fantastic. So how long were you there for in total, you say, with Sky?
Yeah, so in total 4 years, 2 years on the graduate program, and then 2 years on in the disaster recovery role. So 4 years.
Okay. Gotcha. So, I mean, obviously, you're sort of relatively young, and then and you've achieved a lot within the change and digital transformation piece. So, what was the connection? Because obviously, that, you know, how did you get into that space? How did you break into that, and how were you made aware of the whole change programs and sort of like how companies change? What was that defining moment, if you like?
So I think the defining moment was the realization that we did not have an established disaster recovery plan for Sky, and I was given the opportunity to present to the exec team at a fairly young age. I think I may have been about 23. So I was in there kind of providing my perspectives on disaster recovery with the CIO of Sky at the
Wow.
time and the director of central services. And it was an eye-opener in terms of, you know, previously I was quite nervous. I was thinking to myself, no, I can't talk to these people. When I was in the room, I realized that actually they look, not that they look just like me, because they definitely didn't, but
Right.
they you know, they're still wearing shirts just like I'm wearing shirts. They've still got a notebook and they're taking notes just as I am. The moral really is that they're just normal people.
Yeah. So how old were you? Like 22, 23, something like that?
Yeah, 23. So that was the first time. And I thought to myself, I can do this. This is not as difficult as people think it is. Once you get over the initial nerves of, you know, speaking in that kind of environment,
Yeah.
it's okay. So yeah, I was able to do that. And then shortly after that, I got headhunted into Accenture. So Accenture Strategy, a recruiter got in touch with me. They said to me, look, there's a really cool role in Accenture. They're building the team out there. Would you like me to put you forward? We can see what we can do. And interestingly, at the time, one of the Accenture partners was on the Sky account, so he knew of me anyway. So
right.
Two things together opened the door for me, and I kind of, again, just
maneuvered in there.
Yeah, maneuvered in there and moved into Accenture. So that was really cool.
That's brilliant, because obviously they're sort of massive powerhouse within the sort of like management consulting space. Yeah. And so with the programs there, was it kind of, again, kind of like technical change management type of scenario straight away, or?
Yeah, I think if I'm honest with myself, I think that was the point that I shifted. And this was 2011 at that time. This was probably the time that I shifted from a core technology person to a business change transformation type person, because
Right.
a lot of the work that we were involved in was not just specific on IT. It was a program that had an IT element. So at that
Change
point,
program.
yeah, absolute change programs, so dealing with a lot of the big brands, FTSE 100, Fortune 500, you know, working with very senior people, you know, having to, you know, come up with plans and ways of working and target operating models. It was something that allowed me to open my mind and, you know, go into different places that I hadn't been before.
Wow, amazing. That's amazing. Really good experience. Really good experience. Accenture kind of opened up a new door for you then, really, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's one of the biggest things? So it's just to anybody out there now who's kind of like looking to kind of get into change, the whole digital transformation piece. What would you say is to them that was the biggest thing that you learned your time in Accenture?
One of the biggest things, and particularly for people that are just starting out, I'd say number one, be curious. So rather than sticking to things that you've done before, so one conscious effort I made was to open up my mind and say to myself, okay, to date, I've worked in technology companies and media companies, but there's so many other industries out there. So from day one, I said to myself, what I want to do is have an open mind, try and play with a couple of different industries and a couple of different capabilities. And what I mean by capabilities are, you know, target operating model design,
Skill sets.
skill sets, yeah, different things that I hadn't perhaps tried before, because particularly when you're more junior, you have the ability to make mistakes. When you're at the level that I'm at now, you're expected to know all of these things and, you know, almost be able to sit on top and, you know, work with the experience you've had before. So definitely be curious. Absolutely. Try new things. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to ask silly questions and embarrass yourself, really, because you have that opportunity early on. And I would say definitely seek some form of mentorship. So whether that's formal or informal, just have a sounding board of somebody that you can go to throw ideas backwards and forwards. You know, try and direct the trajectory of your career.
Did you have that?
I've had various different people through the years, definitely,
Yeah.
Formal and informal. I've had a lot of family. I've had a lot of family that have helped. My girlfriend, now wife, definitely helped me with key decision making. Some friends, you know, I've always had a support network that's very strong around me that I can ask those questions. But more importantly, you want to be around people at the level above you so you can see what's possible up that ladder.
Superb, wonderful. And like obviously from being a young black guy in that environment, I mean, were you like one of 50 or 100? I mean, was there many other black guys or black females in the...
No. At the time that I joined the practice, the strategy and transformation practice in Accenture, I was the only black person at the time out of 100 people.
Wow.
Over time, there were a couple of kind of black males that joined, which is great. Just a small handful, but I guess that's where networks come into it. So I was very keen to join a network which appealed to me and I could, you know, relate to. So I joined the Accenture African Caribbean Network very early on, which is a group of, you know, like-minded people focused.
It's global, that so there's a lot of influence in America than originally UK, because obviously it's a bigger country, so and a lot of I know America's got a lot of trade bodies, a lot of associations, etc. So was that like an American body that had a few members over here in the UK? Were you quite surprised by the European members of that organisation network?
Actually, it was so there's always been a US arm to it, and as you quite rightfully say, the US is a lot more represented. There's a lot of managing directors and senior people, and minority ethnic, well associated with being black and minority ethnic. In the UK, at the time, we only had 4 black managing directors. We had 10,000 people at the time in the UK consulting workforce, and you know, a couple of hundred people as part of this network. So it was a network that had been around for a few years before I joined, but it started building a lot of momentum whilst I was there.
That's really good. It's really good. Be good to kind of see where that's you know going these days. Obviously, with what's happened with George Floyd, etc., BLM movement, kind of see how that's kind of shaping up from an equality standpoint. Wonderful, superb. Memorable moments or any sort of like projects or programs that you really liked and that you were able to kind of like really shine and... Absolutely, 100%. I would say one of the
one of the most interesting projects that I've worked on. I would say it was almost very early on, was working on a cloud strategy. So this is when cloud just started.
Right.
Again, I forged a niche into working on a lot of internal assets and accelerators to help other people sell this solution into clients. And I worked for 3 clients on this cloud strategy type work. M&S, Vodafone, and I worked for a small music publisher in the UK. And what that helped me to realize in terms of the work that I was involved in is that once you have repetition, you become a lot more confident. So by the time I got on the 3rd client and I had built the tool that sat in the background to pump out a lot of data with an offshore team in India and a small team in the UK, I was confidently able to go out there and kind of present what we were offering. And I was really proud of being involved in that small team, because it offered a different revenue stream for Accenture, but it also allowed me to connect with colleagues all around the world. And I'm confident in doing so. So yeah, I had a really, really good time working in that space.
Right. So do you think that, just kind of taking it back a little bit, so your networking sort of knowledge and experience and enthusiasm for working in the computer network, in the networking space, did that help you? So when you was kind of like briefing your developers in India or wherever for Accenture about this building a solution, did that kind of, having that sort of like technical knowledge, give you the confidence to be able to articulate to them what you required and how it all kind of make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think once you've got skin in the game and you've done things a couple of times, you're able to articulate yourself better, and you're able to guide and support and coach people as well. So for example, if we're building, no matter what it is, say for example, we're building a technical solution that involves development, testing, it requires, writing some scripts to test and some analysis as part of the activity. Sitting on top as a program manager, once you've done those roles that sit underneath, you're better informed in terms of how long things take. Therefore, you can be clearer in your communication.
Right, because you know from experiences what, it was happened. Yeah, superb.
Yeah, you know how long things take. You could say, okay, I'm going to give you 5 days for that. But if there's a problem with that, let me know. And furthermore, I can help you to actually do it as well, because I've been there. I can jump on and code, and I can create test scripts and help you do these things, and I can, actually do the testing as well. So it's almost, you're able to provide that full experience and container for teams to thrive.
So I mean, so now you are on a current gig with Get Living, again, senior change management program, and I mean, what does that look like? What was that about? I mean, what are they? Because I mean, they are, from what I can understand, they're heavily well-funded, private equity funded rental and property platform that purchase properties and they rent them out long term for their investors, pension funds and all sorts kind of going on there. So what was the objective? What was the problem that you had to go in there and fix over the last 7 or 8 months?
Yeah, so there was a lot of things to fix there, but the reason why I was firstly, the reason why I got the role in the first place, I feel I've got a background in, as you know, transformation, strategy, trained and got all of my experience from Accenture in terms of the kind of client-facing nature and ability to have those senior discussions.
Absolutely. I mean, that's
years.
Yeah. I mean, you've got 15 years, and this is a gig that's like started in January this year. So you've got 13, 14 years you're taken into that. But I mean, but do you think also as well? Sorry to interject, but I mean, do you think that your interest in property as well had?
I think it must have had a massive massive draw for them. But interestingly, it only features as a single line on my CV. I didn't want that to dominate, what I'm saying to prospective employers. But actually, I've been involved in property for probably about 10 or 12 years. Buying, renovating, selling. I've always had that eye for property, and I've been fortunate enough to completed several transactions over the years. But yeah, I think it was that really, because I speak passionately about property. It's something that I really love. I'm absolutely focused on making sure that I can provide the right environment for my family. But those two things together create a winning formula. You've got the change aspect, you've got the love for property. Bring those two things together, you're going to have a passionate person that can deliver some real good results. For sure. But just to go back in terms of what the challenge was at Get Living. So, you know, got
Yeah.
through the interview process, really liked what the firm were trying to achieve. So they're what's described as a build to rent platform. So they often acquire buildings that have been built, but the USP for them is more the neighborhood vibe. So they want, you know, shops. They want to create a community. It's not necessarily
Neighborhood thing.
yeah, it's a neighborhood feel. So it's not necessarily for the transient renter, somebody that will dip in for 6 months on a small tenancy and then just dip away. It's people that would want to stay there for a little period of time, engage in the community, and have created a really good model. Since I've been there, so my role was really to create a new way of working, a new operating model in terms of how they service their residents. So, you know, split between the front office and the back office. So you've got demands coming in from the resident. Where do they go to? Where are they routed? Who resolves the issue with the resident? It involved an opening of a new office, which was great. Something I've been involved in the past in terms of new opening. It involved new processes, ways of working, metrics, technology. So delivery, as mentioned before, there's always typically a technology work stream in a lot of these big programs.
Always.
So delivery of two fundamental bits of technology, Zendesk and Yardi, which is the kind of core property asset management system, a module of that, which we're investigating at the moment. But more importantly, is to look at growth. So with a lot of organizations at the moment, you know, things are tough out there. You know, people are regressing back and cutting down operations. The great thing about Get Living, as you said, heavily backed by sovereign funds, pension funds, etc. So they have growth ambitions to double, and we're getting there. You know, they've gone from what they describe as a neighborhood, as described before, in terms of the home, the retail environment, the amenity space. They've gone from 3 of those to 6. So they've got 6 in the pipeline to complete 3 on the way. Several additional phases. By the time all is said and done, they're going to be at 12,500 apartments. You know, so a lot of really good work that I've been able to manage from the top and communicate quite closely with the executive team. So yeah, really good job over there.
Fantastic. So were you part of a team?
Yeah, part of a small team. As mentioned, I came in as the program manager sitting over the top, and there's a number of internal people part of the program, as well as a business analyst who have worked very closely with, has done a brilliant job. And yeah, we're just making things happen over there.
Brilliant.
It's still a lot of stuff that's confidential in terms of where things are going. But, you know, they're moving in the right direction. It's been really positive and refreshing to be part of what I describe as a scale-up. You know, I've worked with FTSE 100s and Fortune 500s and family businesses, but you know, I think Get Living as a scale-up. They're coming out of the startup mode. I think they were established in 2013 with the site on the Olympic Village in Stratford. And
okay.
So they're scaling up. They're moving to the next level. It's just been great to help advise and support the direction of travel. And you know, it's coming to an end soon, but I wish them the best of luck. You know, and I always
Superb. So what's next for you? What would be your, you know, the ideal program? I mean, what would you like to do if you had a choice?
Sure. I think at the moment I'd like to be involved in a transformation that involves a target operating model or ways of working. Absolutely. I'm very focused on business agility. You know, how can organizations change the way that they're working with the people that they have? That may include a bit of agile ways of working as well, which I've got a lot of experience in. It would have to be with a forward-thinking company. So a company that, you know, is able to make bold decisions and is sponsored from the top. That's a very important point.
Right.
I wouldn't want a fledgling kind of cobbled together program. It would need to be supported right from the top. And for the organization to give me the opportunity to prove or disprove the hypothesis. So often when you're involved in these kind of programs, you're often given a brief, you know, this is a statement of work, this is what we want you to deliver. I want the opportunity to be able to test that, you know, is it the right thing to do? You know, for them to listen to me as a, you know, change expert, you know, somebody that has delivered business change for many years and change their way of thinking, you know. So if I'm able to join that kind of organization, perfect, definitely going to get the best out of me.
Okay, superb, wonderful. That's good. Good to know. Good to know. So, do you also? I mean, I asked a couple of other guests the same question. So, I mean, since recent events with COVID, I mean, has that accelerated how future programs would look? You know, in terms of because you're talking about ways of work and so forth. So, prior to COVID, a company might have had, well, look, in 3 years' time, we want to start putting a new program in place. But do you think that that COVID has accelerated that in terms of like we need to get this done now? You know, things are changing so rapidly. I mean, do you think COVID accelerated that?
Yeah, I often find organisations putting discretionary spend on the back burner. So with a lot of change programs, they ask themselves, where is my core revenue stream? So where do I need to focus myself to make sure that I'm making money? So all of these change programs often are deprioritized from what I've seen. But there are few that continue. So for example, the time that I've spent with Get Living, we've pivoted quite a few times to navigate through COVID and, you know, adapt new ways of working, you know, adapting to the fact that people are working from home with their core business. Their core business is around people renting homes from them. So how do you focus on the check-in process or the checkout process? And virtually without human contact.
Right, interesting.
But it's about having that agile mindset, you know, having the ability to adjust, you know, take a couple of diversions to get to the end result. And I think as long as people have that open-mindedness, I think we'll be fine. But from what I've seen, as mentioned, I don't think a lot of the, you know, big, massive, you know, heavily invested programs will continue in the same form. It's about people adapting their skill set and their mentality to, you know, enable them to deliver maybe a slimmed down scope.
Right. Okay. So I mean, so with the way the market is now, the DT transformation sort of like gig opportunities, do you feel as though the market's buoyant based on from your perspective, from in terms of you applying your skills?
Not at this precise moment, but I think that we're going to hit a perfect storm in terms of, and I don't want to say this negatively, but it's a perfect storm in terms of change and transformation experts. So you have the ending of the furlough scheme. You have in the UK, people either returning back to work or organisations taking a good look at what their workforce looks like ongoing. So that's one point. You've got Brexit hitting the UK, so the separation from the European Union.
Right.
You've got potential redundancies, so people, you know, as I said previously, returning from furlough and possibly redundancy not particularly fitting into the right role, which is always nothing that we like to see. But there's also, you know, organisations trying to adapt to the new ways of working. So finding additional revenue streams and ways of working to facilitate the world that we're in right now, because COVID's not going away. You know, it's something we need to adapt to. So organisations need to be on the front foot. If they're not on the front foot, unfortunately, they're either going to be acquired or they're going to, you know, fall away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think, you know, that it's such a massive change to how people are going about their everyday and working. I think it's going to accelerate the need for DT programs. I really do, like now. I mean, you know, working from home, working from anywhere, and, you know, just the whole situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. That's what I mean. So not right this second. So we're in September now. I don't think right now in September, but I think within the next month or so, when all of the things connect, absolutely. There's so much going on out there. I'm fully confident that things will take off fully. Maybe the next month, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. So, okay, cool. So, I mean, it's been a crazy year, right? 2020. Nothing has ever been upon us like this in so many levels. Obviously, COVID, and from a George Floyd's Black Lives Matter scenario, obviously shaken up. People have become aware that we have that equality isn't as it should. I mean, a lot of black individuals like myself have kind of gone through life accepting certain things aren't going to be just how things are. And so from a change perspective, equality perspective, I mean, do you feel as though, I mean, we spoke about the FTSE 100 companies. I mean, I think they've obviously woken up to the idea that something needs to change potentially within an organization. Some of them don't, some of them do. But do you think that the awareness and with the sort of like diversity and inclusion, equality measures and spotlight, that change will be made from the top down, sea level? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, good, very good question actually, and one that I've had many conversations in the background with friends, family, the postman, the dry cleaner, the guy in the cafe.
Likewise.
Yeah. I mean, it's something which I'm sure you can relate to. Has existed for our entire lives as Black people, right? So, the earliest experiences I've had have been, being stopped by the police at 10 years old and put in the back of a police car. That's
Right.
not normal. That's not normal, right? So when you carry that type of baggage around with you for so many years, it's quite difficult to see beyond that. And the trigger point, as you mentioned, the George Floyd incident, and it's been going on for many years, before that, and I've followed it, since the 90s really. So it's happened for a long time. I think that this has just been a period where people have just had enough. And when you relate that to the FTSE 100, the issue I have with the FTSE 100 is that there's only one Black CEO in the FTSE 100 currently, the CEO of Carnival PLC. So talking about trickling down from the top down, when you can only see one person above there, in a role of ultimate control and leadership, it's difficult for Black people and Black and minority ethnic people to see what's possible. So as much as measures are being put in place by organisations to help,
but are they? I mean, are they? I mean,
possibly not.
Yeah.
All I can say is that it feels fairly high level and slim in terms of the things that are happening, but there's a lot more that can happen. From my perspective, I think the things that need to happen to really, enact some real change is to, have more mentoring schemes, having more outreach programs for organizations to see what people from Black and minority ethnic groups are facing, to have allyship programs. So similar to what, LBGTQ, groups focus on in terms of getting people from outside of that group to support them. There needs to be more support like that. I want to be in organizations, reach out to other people from outside the Black group and say, actually, we need you to support what we're doing and our cause. It's not, for me, it's, Black History Month is upon us in the UK. It's coming in October. It's not just a month. For me, Black history is forever.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We do. So organizations absolutely need to do more. There's been many times I've gone into organizations and people have mistaken me for a security guard or a
bouncer or something like that. I've had it as a bouncer all the time.
And well, you're a tall guy, you're 6'10". So for me, it's interesting because you already put me in that box, but little do you know that most of the time I'm going in to see your exec board. So you can imagine the look on their faces when I'm in that room with senior execs and I've been already put into a box which is you're a cleaner or you're a postman. Don't get me wrong. My background, coming from a Caribbean background, I always have the level of respect and I treat people in a very good way. These are people that will help you through your career.
Sure.
Security guards, post room. More importantly, the kitchen staff. You need to be fed. So I always treat these types of workers with respect. But
but anybody, regardless, you know what I mean? Just they're a human being. You know what I mean?
Everybody. But this is the point, right? Where you're pigeonholed into a box and you're treated in a certain way, in yourself, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. You must think to yourself, actually, that's how everyone else perceives me. Maybe I can't achieve things. But when you kind of push through that and you're so focused on what you want to do.
That's when you're young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To think that that you're going to be, you can't achieve anything. This out of your reach. I mean, that's just an awful way to think. And that you can't achieve anything. And so, as a father of a young family, and myself as well. I mean, I've tried to kind of instill that the sky's the limit to both my children. So they're fortunate enough to be in a position where they have got structure, opportunities, and support from both of us, our parents and our extended family, to give them what they want. But imagine being in that situation where you don't feel as though you can get, you can achieve something. It's awful. But there are a lot of Black kids, or a lot of kids of ethnic backgrounds that feel that way. Do you know what I mean? Which has got to be eradicated.
Absolutely, and that's definitely my purpose as well, to make sure that whatever I can do, I always do it anyway. Whenever I see this is not just limited to you know, black ethnic minority type children. This is children in general and young people very passionate about the future generation. So
Likewise.
if I can do
Likewise, yeah.
back in that way, I absolutely do that. But obviously, my priority is to support people that are like me as well. So if people
Sure.
can look up and see people that, you know, have achieved things, you know, that's a great result. And I hope I
Yeah.
can be that, not just for
Wonderful.
myself, but for the wider community as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. It's an interesting topic right now. It's very, very current. It shook up the world, and I mean, some people don't like the fact that you know, that it's getting some recognition from the top, and but yeah, let's see how that kind of pans out. Thanks a lot for that, for kind of touching on that. Now, I want to kind of get into a bit about you, about so outside of work and so forth, those types of questions. So yeah, so tell me something about you that someone doesn't know, that no one knows.
So some people know, but I'm actually quite good at the yo-yo. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah, I can do some very complicated tricks like splitting the atom, cold fusion, some really like complicated stuff. And I started doing that whilst I was in school. Actually, I haven't done it for quite some time, but I'm certain that I can still do it.
Oh, really? Yeah. I was
yeah,
rubbish at it. I could just let it go down once or twice, and then that was it. Do you know what I mean? I had the patience for it.
That's the thing. You got to, you know, practice makes permanent. You got to keep on doing it, and it'll permanently stick in your mind. But definitely yo-yo and actually juggling as well. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
any kind of kids parties, you know, I'm your man. I could do all that.
You're young independent coming up now, young family member. I mean, he's going to be sorted, right, in terms of all the family birthday parties and all that sort of stuff. So, how many things can you juggle at once? Like 3?
I could do 4.
Really? Yeah. Wow.
I could do 4, but yeah, as I said, nothing that I've had to do for quite some time. But as you say, son is growing up now. He's almost 1, so I'm gonna.
He's gonna love his dad, man. He's gonna love his dad. If you like, when he goes, you know, with his mates, he'll be like, "Dad, juggle 4 apples real quick." You know what I mean? You know, when you pick him up from school.
The other day, I was like, "Wow, I can still do this." And you know, my wife's got into baking recently as well, so you know, he's got his cake sorted and his food arranged, and then you know, I could be the fun guy. You know?
Yeah, without a doubt, man. It's great times coming, man. Honestly, man, it's really, really good times coming. Superb. About sports, what's your sort of like your favourite sport? Football, I'm assuming, or basketball?
Yeah, no, football, definitely football. I'm a Man United fan, so I've suffered for the last couple of years, but
but they're coming back, man. They're coming back.
I like the shape of the team. There's a lot of new players coming into the fold.
Yeah.
And it's been a while. I've been down there. It's been a while since I've been to Old Trafford, but you know, I want to return. You know, some good days down there before.
I reckon they've got it all. I mean, if they can get, I mean, from Harry Maguire all the way through the team, if they can get the team to gel, they've got all the players there. I don't think they need to buy anyone else. Obviously, with Rashford up front, with Martial, they've got Hernandez beyond there as well. Who's had an amazing season last year. So they've got the Igala. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think they should. If they all gel, they should be really, really competitive again. You know what I mean? So, about obviously since COVID, we kind of I wasn't really into Netflix and stuff like that, but I've seen a few things on Netflix and Amazon. I think we're watching This Is Us right now, and we watched another couple of series which I wouldn't normally watch. So about yourself, if you've got like a Netflix sort of favorite program or series or.
There's a couple of things we're watching at the moment, or I've just finished watching. So we just finished watching something called Immigration Nation. So that's surrounded around the policies that the US have imposed for people that you know are classified as kind of illegal immigrants in the US, and the whole process they have around it. So looking at federal powers versus local powers, and there's a group that they've established called ICE, so the Immigration. Forgotten the name.
Called what? ISIS?
No, ICE, ICE.
Oh, right, ICE.
I think it's the Immigration Customs something. But anyway, that group imposes the removal of people from the US back to their home countries. I just found the whole political aspect quite interesting, given we're in election year.
Right. So it's quite current then. It's quite current factual drama.
Very current.
Now, in relation to any hobbies, I mean, I've started running, started jogging over the last few months, and I'm a big guy, quite funny, jogging where I live. And but about you, any hobbies since COVID? I mean, you know, you've been a busy guy. Was you working on the Get Living project? But I mean, can you cook? Can you start cooking or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, hobbies. The hobbies that I've always had, I've always been involved in martial arts and physical activities, whether that's the gym. So we touched on it at the top of the call around, you know, being able to carry yourself as a young man growing up in Hackney. I've always done weights and, you know, martial arts and physical activity. But more recently, I've picked up boxing. And the reason I picked up boxing is because with martial arts, particularly the martial art that I was doing, it involves a lot of high kicks and,
you know, which one?
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo, okay.
So when you're focused on high kicking and, you know, like yourself, a fairly big guy, you know, it's not as practical in the real sense. You know, if you're getting into a fight, jumping up in the air and doing real big spinning kicks looks nice, but
not practical, not realistic.
So, so I'm just focused on boxing and I really enjoyed it. It's a good way to blow off some steam.
How long have you been doing that?
A couple of years now, maybe 3
Oh, really?
years.
Okay. Wow.
But just this amateur, you know, just doing, you know, a couple of sessions a week and, you know, just being able to just be flexible and, you know, I've really enjoyed it. Really, really good.
Brilliant. Let me keep going. This is good stuff. It's all good stuff. So, so yeah, I mean, I remember years ago, in terms of like, have you had an embarrassing moment at work? I mean, I remember years ago when I got into sales and I had to fax, way back in the day, I was faxing something to a client and I faxed them a contract actually. And somehow my sales pitch that I had written down got in the fax machine and that went off to the client. So he saw my, "Hi John, my name is," and it's so embarrassing. That was one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to me. And so bad. I can't believe I'm airing that on this podcast actually. It's just a really, really bad schoolboy error. So that was like, and I got absolutely slaughtered for that for ages. And so about you, anything that's kind of happened that's kind of quite funny, embarrassing during your years?
One thing that happened, the client name will remain anonymous for the time being, but I went into an exec meeting, so, you know, fair amount of very senior people, and the suit that I had one of those suits. You know, typically with a suit, you have either a split in the middle or you have a split on either side, right? So I don't know how. I was just readjusting myself, but the whole back flap was inside the back of my trousers. So I walked into the meeting, and then I looked around the room, and everyone was kind of looking and like gesturing. And then one of the senior guys, I think he was one of the CI. I think he was the CIO. Put me on the shoulder and said, "You got to sort yourself out." I was sitting there just like, "Shit, just take me away from here." That was difficult to try and deflect. I was like,
"Oh, mate, brilliant!" So you kind of bowled in there. Quite a few of them saw you as well. You know, they could see from the back. Oh, that's funny, man. It's funny. Dear idea. Yeah, excellent. Similar sort of vibe to myself, man. Brilliant. I mean, every now and then, I mean, you're a healthy, healthy guy doing your boxing, etc. And I'm the same. I was down the gym this morning actually at 6:30. Just started getting back into it again, if I'm honest. And so I don't really normally drink during the week, but weekends I've been getting into my gin. And so about you, you got a favourite tipple that you kind of like to kind of when you were relaxing and kicking off and kicking back?
Absolutely. So my favourite drink is rum, definitely rum, specifically a Caribbean, even more specifically a Jamaican rum, Rare Nephew.
One, Mount Gay or
Rare Nephew, white rum.
Oh, are you joking me? Oh my God, it's so funny. I had something out of the weekends. I'm going to play this back to my wife tonight. She's not going to believe it because I had some of the weekends. Yeah, it's proper sweet, sticky, juicy stuff in it.
It's hardcore. If you're not really used to drinking rum, there's no chance for you. You're KO'd after that.
Yeah, definitely.
I normally have that with either Coke and lime or mint, or have it with a Caribbean mixer called Ting. So it's like a grape.
Oh, that Ting, yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's lovely. Have that and you're nice for the evening.
So, so about wheels. I mean, do you like your wheels? I mean, Bentley, Aston. What's your ride of choice?
Yeah, good question. I think being selfish, if it was just me, like obviously I've got a child now, but
yeah,
and my wife and that, but I would go for an Aston. I think it's a classy car. I think it will suit me. I'm not somebody who wants to be overly flashy, quite understated, quite
classy, kind of sophisticated.
Sophisticated vibe. You know, I just want to go in there, you know, have a nice 2-seater, you know, DB9 or something like that, and just enjoy it, you know.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, now you've got young man on the scene. Again, unselfish holidays. So, but prior to the young man joining the Daly family, what was your sort of like typical or holiday of choice, would you say? Destination and...
It's a tough one. I think we've been to probably about 60 countries over the years. So
60?
Yeah, we've been to a lot of places. So I think if I was to give you a top three, if I can, I think I went to Iceland. My wife took me to Iceland for my 30th birthday.
Right.
Unreal in terms of, you know, being at one with nature. So you're seeing the northern lights, it's dark.
Yeah. How long was you there for?
Just for like 5 or 6 days.
Right.
But what was interesting about that trip, we almost died as well on that trip, which was interesting. So we decided to drive over a mountain, and a storm came in, and visibility was pretty much zero. Like, I was driving like this.
What time of year was you there? What time of year?
It's December, so my birthday.
Oh
December.
my gosh!
December, the blizzard just came in and literally couldn't see anything. We were driving over this really steep mountain, so really, really difficult. But it's an experience all the same. Enjoyed it. The other two out of the top three, I would say, we had the opportunity a few years to go to South Africa. And South Africa is somewhere that, and my dad will contest to this, somewhere that I was quite nervous to go to for quite some time, just in terms of the racial tensions going on.
Yeah, sure.
Apartheid. Yeah, exactly. And the great thing about that trip was that we were able to do three really cool things. We were able to go to on a safari. So we went to Sabi Sands, which is a nice game reserve. Perfect. We were able to go to Robben Island. So that was
in Cape Town.
Yeah, exactly. So it was the prison where Mandela was held for many years. So that was quite symbolic for us to go there and really see that. And we were able to also go to one of the townships to actually see how, you know, people in South Africa that are, you know, in very difficult circumstances, extreme poverty, are surviving. And
right.
It was a special moment. Went to a orphanage, and there were other people on the tour that didn't really want to touch the kids. But I felt something in me that I just wanted to pick up the kids and show them some love.
Yeah, man.
It was fantastic. And then the last place I'd like to talk about is the Seychelles. So we found the Seychelles a couple of years ago, just as somewhere to go to and experience. And it was beautiful. It was like a corner of paradise. We found the private island there that we visited, and we ended up going there twice in the space of 9 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
I did that much.
It was beautiful.
That's good, man. That's interesting. I'd love to hear about the Seychelles. That's amazing. Some place I've never been, and which I know my wife wants to go to as well. So that's it. You know, that's definitely on the bucket list for the Benjamins, without doubt. You know, superb, brilliant. Well, listen, man, it's been great having you on here as a guest. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. Really, really good to hear, and for you to kind of give us share some much information and insights. Now, is there anything that I can do, anything that you'd like to say? I mean, we've got a bit of a platform here. We're growing the Digital Hub podcast. We're getting new listeners every day or every week. So is there anything that you want to kind of say in terms of what's next for you, your career, or what you'd like the DT or the change sector to understand about you?
Yeah, firstly, can I just say thank you for organising this and for your interviewing. I mean, I know you spend a lot of time and you work really hard behind the scenes to make it happen. So
no, that's fine, man. I've really enjoyed it.
Really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed talking to you. I would say in terms of next steps, the current engagement is ending shortly. I definitely want to get into something straight away. You know, I've got a lot of experience. As I said, 15 years plus experience, 20 plus clients, scale ups, big organizations, family run businesses, everything in between, educational institutions. So really just to jump back into another large transformation related to people, process, technology, target operating model, because I know for sure that when it comes to understanding the nuances in delivering something at that scale, I've got all the experience. So yeah, I'm just really keen to get back into something and really to just show where I can add value, because the value comes from so many different parts of the story. As we've spoken for the last hour or so, there's so many different facets and places that things are coming from. But yeah, I mean, I'm a thorough kind of guy, and just kind of love being involved in the corporate environment.
Wonderful, man. It's a great guest. Great having you on here. Really, really appreciate it. And Andrew Daley, thanks very much. Appreciate it, man. You know.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Appreciate that.